Hello and welcome to Be Powerful with Liz and Lee. It's a new day and we're so glad you're here.
So you can expect to hear candid conversations on what it means to be powerful. Live authentically, live in the midst of ups and downs, productively, and above all else, joyfully.
We are so thankful for you, our community of listeners, and we hope you enjoy today's show. Hi, Liz.
Hi, Lee. You're
You
mighty
look pretty
close.
in purple.
You're sort of in a maroon aubergine. Still
Really?
magnolias.
Oh, yeah, there's a little purple in there.
That's aubergine. You look good.
Thank you very much. Welcome, everybody, to the podcast today.
Yes.
Doing something a little different, but same.
Sort of. Yeah. We're excited
Sort
to be here.
of. We are. So we've mentioned that you've been writing a blog, and
Yes.
today we have the pleasure of kind of digging into it and getting to listen to it as you share some of what you've started with. How does that feel?
Right. It feels good. I mean, I've
Good.
been writing, and I love the process of writing and sort of bringing out the thoughts and the feelings that I've had for some time, and sort of regurgitating it down on a piece of paper, and in this case, on my computer. And so I thought it'd be kind of fun. I mean, the purpose of my blog is really to. I'm trying to write a book. I mean, I'm trying to actually write the book I should have written in the first place.
Sure.
Not to disparage the very first one, but the second one is more like Be Powerful. No, really.
I love that. Well, let's go back to that
Yeah.
first book for a minute,
Yeah.
just to get our bearings straight.
Right.
So when did that book come out? I don't even remember.
2017, right
Wow.
before Me and You.
Right.
Right.
Okay, so that's called Be Powerful, Finding Your Strength. Find your strength at any age. I should know well because I was with you. It was a journey really for the two of us
It was.
to work on that together.
It was.
We were just kind of partnered off and
Well, I couldn't have
doing
done it without
everything
you.
we do.
I mean, because really and truly, we excavated deeply down into what it means to be powerful and why in the world I made that my mantra anyway. And I was really going deep into me and into trying to say the words that would inspire other people to find their own power wherever they were in life. And so in the midst of that, you were sort of my editor in chief, as in I had a publisher, but honestly, I couldn't have done it without you.
Well, I just
really
think it
couldn't have.
helps to have somebody who will really listen to you to help when they know you dive deeper, ask more questions, and understand what you're trying to do. And even
Right.
though you mentioned, I don't think you said I wish I hadn't written it, but I mean,
no, I never would say I did.
No, not
I'm
at
very
all.
glad I wrote it.
Right,
And
but
I-
it's
it was
just
it was a springboard.
right. And I think that, moving into divorce and our relationship, now you have an even deeper
Right.
level of freedom. So that
Right.
book served its purpose and its story of
And it still
explaining
does.
how you got to be powerful.
Yeah. And I really believe it still does. I'm proud of that book. And in some ways, that's why I sound disparaging when I talk about it, because to me, it still sort of skims the surface and what happened with Me and You. And remember, we didn't get together until 2018. This
Right.
book came out in 2017, which means we were working on it before then. And we became so close as far as being really more than friends and not who we are now.
Right.
But I was in tears a lot, and you
Yeah.
were like, write it. And then you were like, then you would take it and you would help me with the sort of putting it together.
Sure.
And then I'd send it to a publisher and they do something that I really didn't like with it. I mean, you really helped me a lot.
Well,
so.
I think it's your voice, right?
Yeah.
Like I
You
understand
know my voice.
your voice.
Right.
And so that goes a long way. And I wouldn't even say, disparaging about it. And embarrassing is also the wrong word. It's just that you're at such now an even deeper level.
Yeah. I mean, it's like I turned
understanding.
on a dime.
Right.
I mean, and that's what I've written about in Huffington Post. That's what I've written about in Pink News and all those articles, not little articles, but those articles that have like bared my soul.
Yeah.
Our lives, and I'm going to use the word our because mine turned on a dime, but yours did too.
Absolutely.
It was one day we were working on this book. This book came out, and the next day it felt like, and now we're in this shockingly shockingly,
Yeah.
when I say shocking, nothing's ever shocked me in my life. Has
Right.
it you?
No. Well,
So,
no. And I mean, let's go back to the point I always make about us is that it just felt, I've always said this, so right. I mean, I knew even though it was shocking, yes.
yes.
The on paper of
That's what
this
you're gonna
is
hear.
shocking, but
Yeah.
the reality of who we are just was
Easy.
natural.
And so therefore there is the setup on the very first part I'm going to read is my very first contribution to the blog. And, I'm going to do, weekly, whatever you call them. What do you call this? I know
Posts?
nothing about blogs. That's funny. I don't read blogs, but I realized I wanted to be a blogger, and I mean it in the absolute most respectful way. I'm not trying to, not be able, that is exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to write about what I know and what has been an interesting journey for me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm going to read that, a little bit of that right
Yeah,
now.
and let me ask you before we start, and maybe you go, hold that, I'll think about it and ask after. But I have this question,
Oh,
lightly. It begs the question, because you said, I've written about it in XYZ articles, we've been on television,
we've been on
etc.
Cameron Hall twice about this thing.
So it begs the question, Liz, like, why write it again? And I know the answer, but what's your purpose?
Right. I get, now remember this, when someone calls you from Huffington Post or whether Cameron Hall wants us on the show or Insider Magazine, whoever it is that wants to write about us, it's generally an interview.
Right.
And with Huffington Post, I'm really more proud of that piece of work than anything because I literally did write that.
Yeah, that was
But
written.
this is going to be more of, I really learned the power of myself when I admitted to myself how I had been lying to myself without, not trying
No,
to.
you just figured it out.
And just, when I really peeled away the layers of who I was, I realized we're all living some sort of a version of who we think we are and who society defines us as. And it is one of the hardest things to do is to step out of the arena of acceptance and to walk alone individually and take that risk literally of death in our human nature to not be a part of a group and meaning accepted in society is a sentence of death. Yeah. It really is and has been. I mean, you get these primordial feelings about that. So that's why I decided to write it. And I wanted to write, it's not about me. It's my story because you have a story too, and you and everyone in the world has a story. And when we share that story, that is powerful, especially not just to yourself, but for other people that can resonate there and find a freedom and a power within themselves to maybe think through what's holding them back from being their most eloquent, expansive, free, powerful self. And that's what this book is going to be about. And that's what this blog is about.
I love it. All right.
You want to hear it?
Without further ado, Liz Hilliard and her blog.
Yeah. So I'm going to start with my very first one. And I titled it, Expansion Rarely Happens in the Safe Zone. I've never written more true words. It only took me 64 years to learn that living freely wasn't some sort of impossible dream. It's merely and simply and as hard as making the decision to live life on your own terms, out loud and out of love for yourself while respecting and empowering those you love, as well as others, through the vulnerability of owning your truth. I believe this in turn allows people to connect and explore their own truth without fear or judgment or disapproval. Hi, I'm Liz, 69, free, happy, healthy, successful. All because I found the courage to do the impossible and hone in on my own unique expression of life by owning my power and claiming myself. You can too. Actually, it's a requirement for your happiness, health, and freedom. Peeling away the layers of who you think you're supposed to be and embracing what lies beneath all the noise is your ticket to freedom, success, and happiness. I mentioned that it was simple, and it is. But there's no free ride to the mastery of oneself. Your first step requires a massive amount of accountability, courage, and vulnerability. Courage is at the heart of vulnerability. It takes courage to be vulnerable. Courage sees clearly through the fog of self-delusion. Courage feels all the fear that keeps us frozen in the status quo of our smallness and lights the way to our highest expression. Unfortunately, courage is not about being fearless, but is rather the exact opposite. For me, not to find the courage to be accountable to myself by looking directly at my fears and desires would have held me in a purgatory of stagnation. I saw and felt the lies that I've been telling myself, as well as others, all too clearly when I faced up to the fact that my marriage of 37 years was over, and that my identity as a white, privileged, heterosexual female was changing, and changing fast, I might add. My first published account went viral in Huffington Post because stories are powerful. We all have one, and sharing them is powerful. I'm a truth teller these days, and it feels good. Not only good, but natural and free. The idea that truth will set you free couldn't be truer or more powerful. Without consciously knowing it, I was following Eleanor Roosevelt's advice 5 years ago. She said, "You must do the thing you think you cannot do." It's when I finally began to live my life fully. So that's my very first entry.
That.
Do you really love that?
I do love that. It's nice. I like hearing you read it and read it with you and think about those. I want to go back up. There are a few things, that I want to explore about peeling away the layers of who you think you're supposed to be and embracing what lies beneath all the noise is your ticket to freedom, success, and happiness. So I kind of want to explore the noise. Like for you, what is the noise?
The noise is societal hum. It's so powerful, the need for us to be accepted, that we live in a sound room of just this perpetual noise that says you are this and you need to be this. And if you step outside of that, or if you have these feelings, sometimes those feelings could be wrong. Well, there's truth in that too, because feelings can be wrong. But if you explore deep enough, which we did together, and then you have to do it on your own. I would really like it if Lee could have helped me do all of it, but I had to do it all by myself. And if you explore deep enough, you can get beyond that hum and then know that it is really a life force of its own, and to step outside of that life force and walk your own path in life without the acceptance of that structure is one of the most terrifying things you can do. It's also one of the most courageous and empowering things you can do. And I hope you'll try it because I know you'll be okay. Yeah. I think
people are so almost hyper aware of that in certain ways. One thing I catch us saying, I hear other people saying, is when we say things like should, we all correct ourselves and say, no, not should, we shouldn't should.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I do think there is that awareness now of people recognizing that we don't have to live in the confinements of what we should do, XYZ. Now, I don't think we have to make it so dramatic. We should try to be good people, whatever. But I think that's just an interesting.
I think you're right. I think you're making a good point because I think there's an awakening, and I don't think I'm the only one. I don't know. I think everyone that's listening to this podcast or not listening to this podcast is feeling an urgency and an awakening, and I think it's happening. And so I think each of us that can walk that path and show others that it can be done, it frees them to do it too.
Right.
And so I like the fact that you and I try not to use should. It's just part of the use of power. Language is a very powerful tool.
Of course.
What you say comes into being. So use your words carefully,
And you are, and I appreciate that you're writing down. Let's do another.
Well, this is the one I want to do.
Shit.
It's not the second one.
No.
No, I'm going to do it.
Okay, fine. Okay, you do what you want. You're the author.
I have right now, I'm not sure how many will be out by the time you all listen to this, but at this point of this reading, I have 4 of my blog posts. I just released it on Sunday.
Okay, and then we'll do a little shout out because this website, I will take a lot of credit for helping you write and organize your thoughts and help you dig deeper. You're the creative, you're the writer. The person who we need to give all the credit to for this actual physical website is, we reference her, she's our bestie,
she
employee,
is our bestie.
All those things, Abby Bruggeworth of All In-House. She developed this website.
She developed this. I want to say she whipped this up like that.
She's so talented.
But she really did a beautiful job. She said, "What is your feeling?" I said, "I want it to be light and powerful," meaning not dark, light and powerful. And she didn't even ask me if my favorite color was yellow. She used a lot of yellow here, and I love it. It makes me very happy. Thank you, Abby, for doing this.
I think she's
great. If you guys are needing some work that way, and any kind of a web design or any of that,
marketing, social, and I think that's the point too about having people around you and helping you who understand you and your voice. And she knows you.
Yeah, she knows you. And this goes back to what we talked about a couple of podcasts ago, what a strong group of people we have at Hilliard Studio Method now. And I mean, when I count my friends, Abby is one of my best friends.
Right.
She's also in her 20s. This just goes to the point.
What's that say about you?
Yeah, well, what it says about me is I'm not looking at, we've got to stay curious. And I'm getting ready to speak this week to a group of people that are more my age.
Right.
And I really want them to stay curious. And I want to talk about how it is we age well and happily and gracefully and healthy. It's because we're curious people and we're not closing up shop, making it easy. I say the older you get, the more risk you take. Anyway, here's a risk.
Oh,
the title,
do I have to stay?
And I'm only going to do one more reading, but this one is possibly my favorite reading.
Okay.
The title is about Lee.
That's self-explanatory. Awesome. Let's hear what you think.
I love this. Nothing prepared me for the passion and expansion I would experience falling in love with a woman. Not once did I have a hint that I could be anything other than a heterosexual female. But apparently magic happens when you open your heart and listen closely to your gut, despite all the world telling you that you're wrong. I look around each day and I see so many challenging relationships built on rules that don't work for most, and realize that even though it took me 64 years, the fullness of my love for this woman is incomparable to anything I have ever experienced. I feel held and free all at once. And while I'll never preach stepping outside of your sexuality as some sort of leap to happiness, I will ask that we not shut down our desires when they come from our heart and gut, as well as outside of our comfort zone. Meet Lee, 44, beautiful, strong, gentle, pure, honest, incredibly intelligent, and brilliant at anything she does. She grokks me, and I her. It's just so damn easy. I mean, where's the work? We all assume you have to work at relationships. Nothing about Lee feels like work, including work, which we do together at Hilliard Studio Method, where I am the owner, and she is the manager and director of training. I know. HR nightmare, massive age gap, and all of that. Just read the comments on any of my articles, especially Huffington Post, written about our relationship, which I realize I could have written myself a few years back. Trust me, I know it's all so insane on paper, but in real life, it's going on 6 years now. Absolutely every way, it's good. When every girl,
Sorry, I read ahead.
When every night is girls' night and the sex is always great. Might be the title of my next book.
I get veto power.
Or so I like to say, just to see her puritanical shudders fly up. But it's true. She is my best friend. And every day with her is my best day, good or bad. That's what I hope for you. And that's one of the reasons I'm writing this blog. I truly believe that real, uncompromising love is available to all of us if we keep our eyes and hearts wide open. While I'm painting this rosy picture of our relationship, it's important to note that other relationships in both of our lives have suffered greatly, which initially led me to question my sanity and deny my love for Lee many months before I could commit. I'll explore that in later posts, but for now I'll say this. Love is not static, and those of us that challenge our families and friends to find acceptance and love despite their difficulty and understanding our seemingly radical life change are truly to be commended. And those who cannot are truly forgiven and will always be welcome at our table.
Oh, baby, the last line.
Last line.
Expansion rarely happens in a safe zone. There's your tagline. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I love you.
I love you too. So that's you. Boy, I mean,
For you.
No, it really means a lot to me. I've never read it out loud, actually. So
what's it feel like?
It feels really good. Because expansion rarely happens in a safe zone. If I can be vulnerable and cry right now at our story, which, good God, I mean, it's real. You can tell when you're moved, things are real. They're real. Do you actually think the human heart can be moved when they're not? Maybe.
I don't know. I just know that it is real and that's, I'm really grateful, and who knows why we landed together. I think our energies did that, and we were willing and courageous, like you said.
You were courageous. You were really courageous, by the way.
Thanks.
Yeah. No, it's fascinating to me because I really believe that the love we have for each other is the love that anybody can have. I mean, I don't think we're special. I want to think we're special.
Right.
And I really do think we're special.
Sure.
But I know that if you really, 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 really delve deep and open yourself vulnerably, not fearlessly, but courageously, because the fear will be there, then you will have all the abundance of love and kindness and joy that you deserve. And we all deserve that. Not one of us does not. Everyone deserves that. That's part 2 of my blog.
Lovely.
And there's a couple more, but I'll let those
save those.
We'll sit for now.
I think we're overclipped. I think we need to.
I didn't know I was going to tear up reading about you, but because I already wrote it. Which, by the way, on my blog writing, you're not really editing. I could use some of your editing on some of this. It's interesting. I've been writing and putting this out, and I'm like, wow, I hope the grammar's good. I am really working on the spell check.
Read through. Yeah, I read through. You're good.
So anyway, thank you guys. If you'll go, it's lizhilliard.com is where my blog is. And there's going to be a lot more than that. We'll have a newsletter. There'll be, things you can do, say, oh, I love, if you want to subscribe to it and maybe leave me comments. And honestly, you can't leave me worse comments that I've already gotten.
I mean, don't try.
No, don't try, but you cannot believe the comments we get online. It's fabulous. And also, it's just, isn't this pretty? It's a beautiful fall day with all the leaves falling. But anyway, yes, lizhilliard.com. I hope you'll read it, and I hope you'll join me in this trek to writing this blog and possibly this book.
Congratulations.
Congratulations to both of us for being me and you.
Love you.
I love you too.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening to us today, wherever you get your podcasts. And remember, you can now find our podcast on YouTube.
Yeah. If you liked it, please share, rate, and review. We love 5 stars. And we hope you'll work out with us online or in studio at HilliardStudioMethod.com.